Hello everyone, and welcome to our chat with some new faces and some faces that are familiar. Today we're sitting down here in our office in Switzerland, and we have our new CEO, Frederick Gregord, our new Chief of Growth, Eva Oberholzer, and a familiar face, our General Secretary, Hinrich Pfeiffer. And today they will answer some of the top voted questions on Reddit and talk about more about their plans and what they have in store for us. So without further ado, let's start with brief introductions. So, Mr. Gregord, over to you.
Thank you. So as you probably already have figured out at this time, my name is Fred Gregord, and I'm thrilled to be with Cardano of multiple reasons. So one of the first passions I really discovered in business was really around democratizing trading. And that basically led into figuring out what does trust actually mean in the counterpart cycle and among different counterparts and settlements and so on. And for the last 10, 15 years, it's really been around bringing trust back into banking and capital markets, which led me very early into the blockchain ecosystem, which is very much around trust. And the first use cases we do see is around assets and digital assets and digital money. And now I'm with the Cardano Foundation, and my top priorities is really going to be, first of all, to ensure that the Cardano Foundation has the right team and has the right information to augment and ensure a good deployment of the Cardano protocol and of the Cardano product out there. At a later stage, when we see that the decentralization is coming, we're going to be in a stage where we're going to be in the middle of the value web. So not just being an infrastructure provider, but actually being able to broker contacts between all the stakeholders in the ecosystem so they get a better value, more value, economic value, but also social value and social good. But it's really imperative is that we always come back to what is our strong points, and that is economic identity, and that is how we split the power a little bit to the sides, and by that also focus on social good. And in the second part, or the second phase after the decentralization, we are definitely going to be very much focusing on and enabling that also social good is being used in our ecosystem, and not just large enterprises, not just enterprise adoption or digital autonomous organizations or persons who's running the infrastructure, but also ensuring that these guys who run this infrastructure, that they can trust it, that they know it's there for generations, that longevity is there. So that's some of the priorities I'm having on my agenda in the next couple of months, but also in the years to come.
Thank you, Frederick. So I think this answers the first top question voted by the community about your top priority as a CEO. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. These were voted by our community members. And so let's start. Can we hear your plans on specific actions that will promote the global use of ADA that the Cardano Foundation will implement over the next 6 to 12 months, and how will you measure the success of these?
Sure. So first of all, thank you, community, for the great questions, and I'm looking forward also going forward to answering a lot of those questions, but it will be in a bit of a structured format, most likely like you're seeing here today. So concretely, we are in a very special transformational time, where first we had Byron, then we have the incentivized testnets, then we had Shelly coming along, and with that we have a whole new community of stake pool operators, people who's a part of the decentralization, who is actually the infrastructure of the infrastructure creator. And how I look at it is, this is all about us enabling the architects of the future and not the victims of the past. So when you ask me super concretely what direct actions we are going to take is that first of all, we're going to get very close to the people who's already now expressed interest in building on the Cardano ecosystem. And some of the people who is with our ecosystem today is, for instance, the exchanges. So already today with our exchange support team, we're actually gathering a list of what they need to ensure stability, ensure that ADA is liquid, and ensure that when we have hard forks, that they're constantly running. Secondly, with the stake pool operators, we need to understand, you guys as stake pool operators, what are you actually doing on the sidelines? So are you building adjacent businesses? Are you getting ready to Gogan? Are you going to use Voltaire for certain things? So we're going to look for very close interaction with you to understand the sentiments, what is the needs, what is the infrastructure need, because the blockchain and the protocol is one part, and the connectivity layer is another part. And some of that connectivity layer might be run by the community, by you, hopefully. That's the idea about a decentralized platform. But it could be that we need to start in the Cardano Foundation to run, for instance, a DB Sync or other infrastructure around the Cardano protocol to show you and to show the ecosystem how you can do that. But that will always be open source and it will always be free of use, or at least cost neutral, I would say, right? But it's going to show the path. We want to show the art of what's possible. So as you can hear, is leaning very much towards enabling enterprise and enabling people to build businesses on the infrastructure. And it's right now very much about listening and understanding what is the actual needs and then changing that over to how do we put an organization in place in the Cardano Foundation who can support you both on a capability set but also on a sentiment set.
So this really partially answered the next question. So what are your key short, medium, long-term milestones in one word? How will you measure and report progress along the way? So this is very much relevant to what you said before, but in one word, short, medium, and long-term milestones.
Yeah, so first of all, I think we should not be operating on a time scale which is a balance sheet or even a generation. We need to look around generations and a longer time scale. So the Cardano Foundation is not about short-term gains or short-term success. This is about longevity. This is about how we position ourselves to ensure that the Cardano community and everybody who rely and use the Cardano protocol, that they have a trusted infrastructure to build their businesses on. So, but the question is given, so I will try and answer it. So on the short term, and the short term for me is maybe 6 to 12 months. That is to ensure that we have the right team and we have gathered the right information to allow us to onboard developers, to allow us to onboard enterprises, and to get real use on the protocol. We need to get a lot more transactions and a lot more successful use cases and really test what is possible. So that's around the 12 months scale. When we start looking into a couple of years, what is important for me? Well, it's important for me that the piece about economic identity really comes out there. That we actually get the possibility to get identity out to the masses, that we start being able to give economic identity to those who don't have it, not just in Africa, not just in the developing countries, but also to the over 20 million people in Europe who actually don't have access to financial services because they don't have a real economic identity. So I think the economic identity is going to be the real trigger. And I know that from a technical perspective, we're actually kind of ready to do this. But for a culture and from an institutional perspective, we're not ready. And when I say we, it is the society, it's the governments, it's the politicians, it's all the institutional safeguarding mechanisms as the auditors and so on. They're not ready for this kind of cultural and structural change yet. So on the little bit, they say on the longer term, this is where we need to be much more vocal as the foundation. We need to use my great team around me here, but also add people who specializes around governance and IT architecture and those kind of models, and start interacting with the people who controls the identity piece of our society today. And then on the long term, I think the goal is quite given. It's about an interoperable blockchain solution for social good, but also for economic identity for, let's say, 1 billion people. It's about changing society as we know it today and ensuring that the architecture pieces, which is needed to drive a society where people can come together as people and agree on what is the truth, so we can solve the big problems the society and the earth is facing right now, instead of the polarization we are seeing right now. But that's going to be the long battle, the ultimate truth.
Thank you, Fred. That's very detailed, and that's also very ambitious. And I think our community will appreciate that most of these things are not done overnight. With the sheer support and enthusiasm of our community, I believe that we'll reach our goals. So, and this is the final question, Fredrik. So this was also voted by the community. What will PwC's involvement be in the Cardano Foundation or Cardano going forward?
Yeah, so it's no secret that both me and Eva Oberhauser both has a past in PwC, and I think we can both say we are very thrilled and we really enjoyed working in PwC. When I went to PwC, it was really on the purpose of how can I mobilize an army of 260,000 change makers who all operate in the trust equation to bring trust back into banking capital markets. And what I really saw there was so many professional people, so many in-depth specialists, And I would not speak about what is PwC's involvement. I would speak about all the great auditors and all the great law firms out there, because if we want to do this change, which is really needed, we need to bring all of them on board in our project. So we would definitely not just work with one of the big fours, we will work with all of them, and not just in their capability set around how they bring trust into technology stacks and ecosystems, but also using them much wider in terms of how they also need our infrastructure to make a more sustainable and a better business model for the big fours in the future, because their business models are changing and they will need to rely on infrastructure like ours to ensure that they also take their new part in this trust equation, which is being created by robotics and AI and other emerging technologies and derived technologies from DLT today. So very short, yes, PwC will be involved, but so will the others also. And we will definitely not just look at one of them, we will look at all of them.
Thank you, Fredrik. These were insightful, and I think the community shares your passion and they can feel your sentiment towards blockchain and how blockchain can unlock a lot of value. So, and now we switch to another new face at our foundation, Eva Oberholzer. So you will also get some questions from the community, so be ready for that. But as a start, so please tell us about yourself. Where do you come from? Your share, your passion for blockchain and your plans.
I was at the conference in Singapore 2016 when I saw that all the CEOs, it was even 2015, I think, when all the CEOs were running around and just used the term blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. I didn't really know what to do with it. And then, even before, I was super interested in blockchain, but then it also became clear to me that this is gonna
Something must have clicked.
Exactly, that's gonna shake up everything and the entire industry. And I was super happy about that fact, because I literally saw how the industry works. When you work in an FMI, in a financial market infrastructure, you see all the intermediates and the processes. And that was for me then. By then it was clear that this is
That's an interesting story. So tell us about your plans. So what plans do you have? And your, I don't know, you can call it short, medium, or long term, or just big idea plans.
Growth and adoption are key, right? So the first one is the community, of course. The community, seeing them as an enabler and seeing us as an enabler to enable them. So what we have to look at is how can we help them to help us grow? Because it's kind of our extended team, it's our network, we are part of it. So, and we have a lot of skills and capabilities out there, which we gonna try to leverage much better. So we have been talking a lot about, okay, what are we doing? What are our capabilities? What have we achieved? And now we also have to start thinking of, okay, but what does it bring? So me as an end user, I don't care much how something works. I care about what benefits does it bring to me. And that's something from a business case perspective, or a business case is actually, and a project is the perfect way to show the benefits and the value we can deliver.
Are you ready for the community question?
Of course.
All right. So this was also one of the voted questions. So how will the Cardano Foundation interface with the community?
So I think the first step we're going to do, or we are already started doing, is now getting a clearer sense of who is our community at the moment, and reaching out to them and also get an idea not only who they are, but also what their needs are. And then in the second step, we're going to look at, okay, what are their needs in general? Where is the community going? What participants will follow and will increase? What enablement do we have to give them? And with that will also have an influence on how we communicate with them, of course, and how we interact with them.
So it's work in progress, so it's to build on what's already been built and add on to that success. Now we're going to switch to a familiar face that most of you have known, and that is our General Secretary, Henry Pfeiffer. So you've been at the foundation since 2019, and you've seen it grow and develop. So, like, in your opinion, like, what were the key milestones for the foundation, in the last year or so?
Thank you very much, Bakit. Very good question. So we started into the year with a clear plan on how we can further enhance the organization with regards to the structure and the setup of the organization, to really ensure that we have the right focus, that we have are a powerful organization, and also execute in a most efficient way, right? And that's directly brings me to the first milestone. Beside focusing on the mission of the foundation, we are also working in close collaboration with IOHK and Emergo on one common goal. So, and it's really important that we have a very good collaboration with both of them and that we are working in an aligned way. And that's why we brought together teams from the foundation, teams from IOHK, teams from Emergo to a multiple-day workshop this year to really discuss together the goals and the objectives on the ecosystem level, not only for each entity separately. Then we also agreed on the way forward, on the deliverables, and what are the different roles from each entity, what needs to be contributed by each entity that we really reach the agreed goals. And out of this, the result was that we created a new program across all entities, with having different streams and several projects per stream, which since then we've continuously worked on and implemented, executed step by step what we've planned. And I would say this is a key milestone for us, because as I said, we're working on this ecosystem together. We have a common goal. And also for the foundation, it's very important that we work in an aligned and coordinated way, collaborative way with IOHK and Emergo. Second milestone is the team. I mentioned that we need to have a powerful organization, right? So having the right people with the right skills, with the right experiences, also people that are passionate about what they are doing, that's very important, because at the end, the team defines the organization. And if we talk about having a powerful organization, we need to have a powerful team to really create this powerful organization. This year, we have added, I think, around 13 or 14 people newly to the foundation. We currently also have some vacancies open, and new ones will come very soon that will be published. So recruiting or onboarding 13 people is the one thing, right? But when we look at the process from identifying the need for a new role until the person is then really onboarded in a remote and decentralized environment under the current restrictions, I think we all need to live in at the moment. It's a very resource and time intensive process for all of us. You also increase the risk because you hire people that you have never met in person before, right? And I would say that's a key milestone for us, that we have built the team we currently have. We've clearly executed the strategic hiring plan for this year and will do so until the end of this year. We've built the new marketing team. We've created an exchange technical integrations team. We've added our project management skills and also additional support here in Switzerland. So I think overall that's a key milestone that we have reached. And the strategic HR planning on the foundation side happens alongside the development of the protocol, right? So for every step or every new functionality of the protocol that will be launched, this also means for us that we need to rethink or update or adjust our hiring strategy and look into the future, what services, what skill we want to offer, what skills we need in the foundation, and so on. That's the key milestone, the second one. So the third milestone I see is what the team has achieved in total during the past 11 months of this year, right? If we look at the key topics, for example, in the community team, the team has launched the Ambassador Program Phase 2, which is a huge success at the moment. I know we needed some more time to roll it out at the end, but as financials were involved, certain processes had to be defined before. Also, if we look at the exchange relationships team, for example, so the team was built within only a few weeks. We onboarded Mel and John and handed over partially tasks from IOHK to the foundation. So we had a longer period of time where we had to cover topics 24 hours, 7 days a week, right? Because of the urgencies and because of the importance for the ecosystem. So I think that's a key achievement as well in that area. If we talk about milestone, I mean, one important milestone for the foundation is also that we've created the whole organization or area around the marketing team. We've hired Mariam, who then defined the marketing area, defined the marketing strategy, recruited the whole team, built the whole team. The results of that we saw very shortly after she had joined by launching new marketing campaigns, right, that we saw. Also, if we look at, for example, at the legal side, I mean, most people out there probably couldn't imagine what legal topics we have, right? But if I think about the amount of requests we receive for copyright or trademark questions from the community, all those things need to be handled, right? That's an amazing workload. Also with the contractual topics, we're still an organization that is supervised by the Swiss authorities. So we need to act within a certain framework. So also the legal function is involved in almost all projects we are running or topics that we are discussing from a conceptual side.
Thank you, Henrik. Absolutely, you've covered a lot of ground, and obviously our community is thinking, okay, a lot of stuff has been done, a lot of things have been achieved. So, but what will be your priorities in the near term?
So first of all, we need to ensure that we keep the stable organization that we have today, right? So we further need to enhance it when it comes to adding additional skills, adding new skills that we currently don't have in the areas we need support going forward. So the whole HR planning, strategic HR planning, that's definitely a key priority in the future. The second one is that we need to focus on running projects cross-functional within our own organization and also across all the entity partners and also together with the community. That we've defined a clear project methodology to make this in the most effective and efficient way. So we also need to add additional skills on the technical side. For example, in the exchange relationship teams, we need to create an integrations team, technical integrations team, that we can on the one hand take over more and more responsibility from IOHK into the foundation, but on the other hand also that we then have the necessary skills to support exchanges, external integration partners, the best way with the upcoming hard forks, for example, or any future technical change or release that will happen.
Perfect. Thank you, Henrik. You've covered a lot of ground, and I'm sure going forward, we'll have another update from you. So we're almost, our time is almost over, and before we wrap up, I would like to hear a few closing remarks from Fredrik.
Yeah, sure. It's always really sad when we run out of questions and time, and I think it's really important that we communicate in a structured way. I think going forward, we will try and do these videos as much as possible. It will not be the frequency where maybe everybody likes, but we will definitely do it maybe on a monthly basis. And we will try and be a bit more vocal around the achievements, what we are doing, but also outline some of our strategic components. I think one of the parts which has been, for me, lacking before I entered the ecosystem was to understand what is the Cardano Foundation's actual role in this value web or in this intrigued trinity of organizations, community members, vested people with interest and so forth. And here we will definitely commit to bring more clarity around what is it we can influence, where is it we can make a difference, and where is it we are going to go ahead as the spearheading organization and be in the front line. So I think that's it from my side.
Thank you, Frederick, and thank you, everyone. And I think this has been this has been fun. You know, we all got together for the first time, you know, in 2020 like this, in this company, and the times are tough, but I'm pretty sure community appreciates that. And this is the time we had. And on this note, I say goodbye and hope to talk to you soon.